Welcome back, Turners. It's another warm, sunny day in California. Hopefully summer is going to start ramping down and we're going to maybe get into some nice fall weather soon. So anyway, today's video is going to be using that vacuum chamber setup that I showed in my last video. We're going to use it to do a little bit of wood stabilizing today using that cactus juice product I also showed you last time. So there's lots of videos out there on stabilizing. This is just my video on how I do it. So thanks for joining, and let's get started. Alright, Turners, so the first step in this process is activating the cactus juice. The cactus juice comes in different sizes. I bought this half-gallon size, and it comes with a pre-measured amount of the activator provided by Cactus from Turntex. So what you need to do with this is get all of this into here. Now, as the instructions say on this bottle, in order to get all of this out of here, you may need to add a little bit of the cactus juice into this bottle so you can shake it up and make sure it all gets in here. Then we have to shake this all up to make sure that it gets thoroughly incorporated. In fact, the instructions also say here that you need to shake vigorously and to ensure proper mixing. And it says there might be some particles that are undissolved, so you let it set and then shake it again. Okay, so let's go ahead and it warned me about being under pressure, so there it was, under pressure. Okay, so let's add some cactus juice to this. Actually, I'm going to let's see what I can do to get this back in the bottle a little bit. There we go. Now I'm going to add some of the cactus juice right into here. Okay. Let's shake that up a little bit. Okay, good. Now we'll return the entirety of it to the bottle. Well, one thing they didn't say was whether or not that bottle would be able to hold everything. So apparently there was more in here and could be fit. So I'm going to have to fix that. Give me just a moment. Alright, Turners, well, we'll chalk that up to operator error. If I had been paying attention to how much was in the bottle, I would have been able to pour a little bit of it off, then add, and then top it off. So now you know. If you get a really full bottle, thank you, Cactus, for a really full bottle. I appreciate that. I got my money's worth. I have about, I'm going to say it's like half an ounce or less. Yeah, maybe about half an ounce of the cactus juice. So that's it's activated. We're going to use it anyway, but this is now thoroughly activated, so I incorporated all of the activator. There are no particles in here, so this is now fully mixed and ready to use. So we'll go ahead and set up our vacuum chamber and get to pulling down a vacuum on some wood. Alright, Turners, before I put this chunk in for stabilizing, it's a pretty big chunk, and the way my jars are set up, I don't necessarily have room for this in one piece, nor do I really need it to. I see potentially at least 2 usable pen blanks in here, and that's what I'm going to set this up for. So I'm going to make a cut right along here, so I have 1 pen blank in this body and another for here, and this would be the single body Sierra Wall Street type twist pens that I'm thinking of. So I'm going to go ahead and make a cut right along here to get the 2 pieces. So let's do that. Alright, turners, we've got a couple of things set up here on the table now. We've got the mason or ball jar set up. This is going to go into the vacuum chamber. I'm going to I've got a couple of pieces of rosewood burl that are kind of soft, and I want to stabilize those because they tear out easily. And then these pieces, this is actually bark from, I believe it's a sequoia. Anyway, these are now going to go in the jar, so I'm going to go ahead and just place these in here, like so. Okay. They'll fit, make sure they fit down there pretty good. I'll put in these pieces. Okay. Make sure they fit down there pretty good. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and add the cactus juice. I'm going to use what I've already had activated here. So that's going to go in. Okay. And I'm going to put in as much of this as will cover these pieces. Okay, I do expect to see some floating going on here momentarily. Okay, I'm going to stop right about there. I'm going to put in this piece. See if we can't get all those pieces held down there. Okay, it's pretty good, actually. And then let's just pour a little bit more of this in. Just make sure they're all good and covered up. There we go. That's ready to go. Now we're going to put it in the vacuum chamber. Alright guys, let's go ahead now and get this part set up. Again, this is going to go in here. Okay. One of the reasons why we put in a little extra of the cactus juice is because the cactus juice will soak into the wood where the air is being pulled out by the vacuum. So go ahead and get our lid on here. Okay. There we go. And the vacuum chamber itself is ready. This set up. Okay. Alright. Now let's see if we fire it up, what's going to happen. Okay, turners, I've repositioned the camera a little bit to give you a view into the chamber. What's going to happen when I turn the pump on, we're going to make sure we start the pump with the valve closed, okay, is that the air bubbles are going to start pulling out of the pores in the wood. So when that happens, there's going to be this frothing that comes up out of the jar. What I want to make sure happens is that that frothing doesn't come into this tube and that it stays in the jar. So we're going to adjust the vacuum level by controlling this valve until the majority of those bubbles stop forming, and then we'll fully close it and let the vacuum continue. We'll shut it off and let it soak. So let's go ahead and get started with that process. See those bubbles pulling. The more I close it, the more it comes up. When I open it, the bubbles go down. So you got to find that happy place and let that run. That's amazing. As it is right now, I'm pulling about 27 on the vacuum dial. So I guess that's measured in HG. So tighten that back up a little bit more. See if we can pull the foam up a little. There it goes. Yeah. Getting a little too hot, so I'm going to adjust it downward again, just a smidge. Oops, it's more than a smidge. Alright, so I'm going to let it do its thing here. Gotta keep an eye on that. There we go. I'm going to let it do its thing, and in a while, let it soak, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, turners, again I've moved the camera just so you can get a better look at the dial. On the gauge, I'm at 29, just about, and I've got the valve now fully closed. You can't see, can I rock you forward? Maybe you can see, hold on. There's still bubbling going on in the pot down there. Okay. So I'm just looking for that point, don't know how long it's going to take until that bubbling subsides. There we go. But when it does, I'll be able to turn off the vacuum pump and let it sit there for a bit. Alright, turners, it's been 3 hours of doing the vacuum on these pieces, and there is almost no bubbling left. So it's at this point that we can shut things down and let the cactus juice do its uptake into this wood. So I'm going to go ahead and start to open the vent. I don't know if you can see how far down that vacuum got, but that is really darn close to 30. So I'm just really thrilled with how this thing has performed. So let's go ahead and start to let the vacuum off. There we go. And now we are going to let that wood soak. The instructions say twice the time that it was under vacuum, so that would ostensibly be 6 hours. I think I'm going to let this sit overnight. And then tomorrow we'll take it out and we'll bake it. I think you can see my toaster oven back there. Got it set up and ready to go, so we'll do that tomorrow. So through the magic of video, in a moment it'll be tomorrow. Alright, turners, well, it's been more than 24 hours since I left the blanks to soak, so we'll take this out. There we go. So you can see our little weight did a great job. I'm going to take this out now. And I'm going to set it on a paper towel. So let me get a paper towel out here. And should just be able to use my little hook. Reach in. Try to get as much cactus juice off of there as possible. Going to wash this later. The instructions say that these things can be washed with regular dish soap and water. Okay. So that's good. Alright, now I'm going to use some of these dollar store tongs and pull these pieces of wood out of here. What I got to do first is get some foil ready, because these things need to be foil wrapped. Okay. And again, the idea of the foil is to keep the pieces from, this could be tricky, keep the pieces from losing too much of the, or from the cactus juice from making a mess in the toaster oven. Okay, so there's one. Just going to wrap that up. There's a little bit on the thin side. Okay, so there's one. Set that aside, get another piece. Next one. Okay. These pieces are feeling significantly heavier than they did when I first put them in there. Okay. There's the second one. And I think I can wrap all of these last ones together on Curtis's website, he has a little trick where he takes one and wraps it up like that, and he takes the next one and we wrap that, and the last one. And the reason you do this is to keep them from sticking together. Okay. You can see the cactus juice did pick up a little bit of color, but that's not supposed to be a problem of any kind. Okay, so there's that last one. I'm going to go ahead and wrap that foil around that last one. Okay. And I'm going to rewrap these. This dollar store foil is kind of thin, so now all I need to do, I've picked up a funnel that I'm dedicating to the transfer of the cactus juice back into its home container. So let's just put that back in. So you can see there was some uptake of that juice by that wood. Okay? And again, this is just going to get washed with dish soap and water. Okay? And then we're going to move to the toaster oven. Well, turners, you can see that I've got the foiled wrap pieces in this little toaster oven now. The cactus juice needs to be maintained at a temperature between 190 and 200 degrees to cure. And you can see I've got a little oven thermometer in here. This is mainly because, you know, little toaster ovens like these aren't all that reliable for temperature control. So I don't know if you can see over here, it's maybe a little obscure. I've got a couple of marks on the dial. This is where 200 degrees is, way over here. And this is when I have the thermometer checking, this is where I need to be, kind of between these two marks. So if you use one of these little toaster ovens to do this, you probably will have to, experiment a little with your oven thermometer to find out exactly where that 195-ish mark is. So now these are going to have to sit in here for a few hours. And once we're done with that, I will open them up and take a look. Alright, turners, these have cooled off now. Let's take a look and see what we've got in here. This is the bark. Okay. Oh. That's heavier. Feels like it's done something. I don't know if you can see here from the baking process, this has actually come apart a little bit. I'm going to try to trim this to be, maybe I can get 1 or 2 pen blanks out of that, but it's considerably heavier than it was, so I'm hopeful that that's going to turn out okay. Let's take a look at the next one. Alright, good deal. Same story here. Looks like everything's set up nicely. There's nothing wet. It's nothing. That's much heavier than it was too. So I cut that open on another video and see what we can get out of that as far as maybe a pen blank in there. Alright, now these were the actual pen blanks. I think the uptake on these was hopefully the best. Again, these were smaller pieces. So let's see what we've got in here. Oh yeah, look at that. These things cured up real nice. Okay, so there's one. You can see all that cactus juice. Oh boy, that is heavy. That is heavy right there, guys. Okay, good deal. There's one. And there's 2 more in here. So I left these in the oven for pretty close to 3 hours at 200 degrees. I think Curtis's instructions say that usually 1.5 to 2 hours I think is adequate, but leaving them in shouldn't hurt. You want to make sure they do get fully cured. These look like they cured awesome. So that they don't look like much, but you can see that that cactus juice did what it was supposed to do. So hopefully that's got good penetration. Again, it's got a nice heft to it. Here's that last one. It's a little bit of a messy process. Okay, and the last one, same thing. Looks good. So I'm going to guardedly call this a success. We won't know until we actually turn these. So, having said that, in my next video, we're probably going to give one of these a turn. See if we can make a pen out of it. So that's at least three good blanks there, nicely cured. And we have yet to see if these actually penetrated in far enough. Again, they are weightier than they were. They're not as, oddly enough, no, they're pretty heavy. We won't know on these until we cut them open. So that's the lot. So I'm not unhappy with that. I think it came out okay. Well, Turners, thanks for joining me for this little excursion into wood stabilizing. First with the vacuum chamber I made from an asparagus steamer pot, and now this use of the vacuum chamber and the cactus juice resin to stabilize a few wood blanks. It looks like the setup worked well. It looks like the cactus juice did what it was supposed to do, and as long as I did the cure properly, those should be some awesome blanks for a future project. And so we'll get to that in the near future, and I'll do a video on that too. One thing I just wanted to also just remind you guys, if you try this, make sure that you get that oven thermometer for your toaster oven so you can really dial in on the temperature. I think that was real critical here for me, and I happened to find that sweet spot of about 200 degrees. So thanks for joining me, and thanks for those that are subscribing and those that are just following along. If you like the video, please remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, and check out my channel. Subscribe to my channel so you get the new videos when they come out, and also check out all the other awesome woodworkers and wood turners that I subscribe to. So thanks again, and we'll see you for the next one.